Why should parents discipline their children? Do you wonder that? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're answering the question, why should parents discipline their children? In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between punishment and discipline. There is a difference. We need to know that in order to be really good at discipline. We're going to be talking about what proper discipline looks like and the value that it has. And then we're also going to talk about the generational outcomes from having a good discipline model in your family. I also forgot to mention at the end of this video, I have a free gift for you, something that should help you start on a new discipline track for your family. Did you know that periodically throughout the cycles of history that these movements of don't discipline the child, just be their friend, just seem to crop up again and again? And then people noticed that didn't work out. We created entitled monsters. I think that we better start disciplining, so then parents get heavy-handed and they go toward punishment. But all the way along, whether they're swinging to one side or other of that discipline pendulum when it comes to trends in parenting, there's always a few of these parents in the background that don't participate in the pendulum. They don't manipulate their children by trying to be their friend and letting them do what they want, or by instilling fear and domination and militant punishment to their children. They just parent them with principle. So I teach that type of parenting. That's parenting we call the teaching self-government form of parenting. That's what this channel is all about. If you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know I teach skills and principles of self-government so that people can be more free from emotional bondage and so that their relationships can be more united. When a person falls into the punishment mindset, they are actually removing themselves from the other person. So they are not being united with them. They're not bonding with them. They're thinking of the other person as an antagonist. So that means that they're saying, oh, you're going against me? Well, no, I'll show you, right? And so there's this vindictive quality to the parenting. It gets very emotional when a person goes to the punishment approach to parenting. But when you are disciplining someone, when you are teaching them, it's different. It's not reactive like punishment is. It's not emotionally manipulative like punishment can be. Instead, it's very proactive. It's planned ahead of time. It's just good, deliberate teaching. It's very assertive. The children are able to see themselves making decisions and see themselves accepting consequences of those decisions. So consequences are good, and a good discipline system in the home, a good teaching model in the home should involve proper teaching and proper instruction about what consequences will be and when they will be used. And then the child should be choosing and recognize that when they chose a certain consequence, that it's just justice for that consequence to actually happen. They should accept, yes, I did that. I've written 11 books about parenting. Here's 5 of them. These are probably some of the most popular, especially this one, Parenting a House United. In this book and in these children's books, I talk about the 4 basic skills of self-government. So these children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills of self-government. So when a child knows this skill that's taught in this blue book right here, which is accepting consequences, then they can learn self-government. If they don't get the opportunity to accept their own consequences, they actually can't learn self-government. Then you're basically just doing something to the child in order to get some sort of an emotional response out of them. that then falls into that pendulum of those types of parenting that are not going to be beneficial. And by the way, on this channel, I have a lot of other videos related to different parenting styles. And so if you want to go into more detail there, you absolutely can. So I recently asked a young person why parents should discipline their children. And this young person said, so that they can learn that not all actions are acceptable. I thought that was some really good insight. Now, we talked a little further and I said, did you always like it, or do you always like it when your parents correct you? And this young person said, no, but I do like it when they correct my brother because they know that sometimes brothers' behaviors are not acceptable. Now, probably sisters' behaviors are not always acceptable too, and she knows it. In fact, I think that most children are grateful in the end that they were corrected for the problems, that their parents did practice some teaching, some discipline in the home. But it's the parents that worry a little bit about those discipline moments more than they should, because they oftentimes are starting to lose control. So good parenting would be calm parenting. And that little gift that I have for you at the end of this call is going to help you more with your calmness. So I'm not going to go into tons of detail there. But what I am going to say is one of the biggest whys that we should discipline our children is so that they can learn what's acceptable, so that they can be socially acceptable, they can have good relationships, so that they also can learn that they can master themselves, that they can conquer problems within themselves. If they can't conquer problems within themselves, and nobody brings any of those problems to their attention by doing corrections and by disciplining them in some way, then we're actually disabling our child for the future. And they won't know how to solve problems around them. They may even assume that it's everybody else's job to solve their problem. And that is massive social and emotional entitlement. So I think we've covered the why. And hopefully you've got that on discipline, but I'd like to give you a little bit more. What can we do? We can teach our children self-government. We can teach them the skills that they need to communicate and solve their problems so that they end up feeling empowered. There is so much value in having self-government in your own heart and mind so that you know, I can accept that no answer. I can drop that subject. I can disagree appropriately using some of those 4 basic skills of self-government that those 4 children's books teach and that are in my TSG parenting course can be very, very valuable. So what does healthy discipline actually look like? It looks like pre-teaching ahead of time what skills the child needs to know. So I would teach them those 4 basic skills of self-government, but also I would teach them the 5 teaching styles that I'm going to be using as a parent, including the teaching style for how I will correct them when things go wrong. They will know my exact words, and should they not choose to accept that correction and go completely out of control, I will teach them my exact words that I would use for that as well. In fact, I have videos on this channel that teach those exact scripts so that you can find more information about exactly the words that I would teach them. When you teach your child how to self-govern themselves, you teach them the skills that they need for success, and then you teach them how you will correct them, that actually decreases their anxiety and it prepares them for the future to be able to draw upon those skills that they'll need, not just as children, but also as they go into adulthood. And think what kind of parents they will be. If they can self-govern themselves as children and be calm as children, what will happen when they become adults? Honestly, the change that happens for their life changes your life forever. I raised my children with self-government. They are now teaching their children self-government. And when we all get together, do we have fights and arguments? No. We just talk to each other calmly about things. We disagree appropriately as adults, now that I'm the grandma. So I'm seeing that our whole family has become calm for generations now because my children have learned the skills and principles of self-government as we used those in their discipline. Now, I have a free gift for you. Remember that? In the description below this video, there is a link to a Calm Parenting Toolkit. So you can go to my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, and on the homepage right now, there is a Calm Parenting Toolkit. It is a free mini course that you can use to get yourself started on learning self-government. It's not the full course, but it will help you with your calmness. 10 tools for calmness you won't want to miss.